Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, with Season 8 fast approaching, and since we think we're going to be getting the new Tier 5, effectively Imperial Bodyguards, we can even find them, what I think we're going to be getting on the tree. Ding 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 ding, these guys down here, if my mouse was rightly in the right page. These guys, I thought it'd be worth going back, taking a little bit of a look at the Imperials, seeing what they're like as a unit. Been a long time since I visited them as a musket unit, and yeah, thought they were well worth a revisit, since we've certainly had a look at the tercios quite a bit since, and yeah, felt like I was kind of neglecting these guys a little bit. Now, they are, without doubt, the highest DPS musket unit in the game. I mean, their shots are intensely damaging. In volley fire mode, they fire insanely fast, and nothing can output as much damage in terms of a ranged unit as these guys do in such a short period of time. But on the flip, when you compare them to the tercios, they don't have the same amount of health. Only 3,900 on the hit points, and basically no defensive stats at all. 340 piercing defense isn't going to stop an arrow from a levy bowman, never mind anything higher than that. So that's kind of the trade-off that you're playing. You know, that's, I guess, if people want to compare Imperial Arquebusiers versus Tercio, you're taking increased damage, but at the risk of having a higher damage output, whereas Tercio is much more tanky, much more reduced incoming damage, but a much lesser damage output. That's kind of the trade that you're always going to be making. In terms of veterancy line, there's really two viable routes here, and I think both kind of work. Bottom line, basically, you did a few interesting things, but predominantly you're getting the similar sort of volley fire damage increase through these two as the volley fire increase along the top line, but you're basically getting a double shot, or you're getting the chance of a double shot, over the chance of a bullet block break on the top line. Now, arguably, you could say that, well, given the amount of stalwarts there are in the game at the moment, shields, that sort of thing, the bullet block is going to be really useful. And I ran them on the top line for quite a long time, and to some extent, yes, that's true, but you're still never going to be crazy effective against a unit of shields, whereas, at least on this bottom line, I think, you know, the extra shots are always useful, whether it's against shields or whether it's against an unarmoured unit of Imperial Pike Guards. The double shot in this makes you fire insanely fast once you're in volley mode, and yeah, for me, it's really useful, and so I kind of settled and prefer the bottom line. In terms of doctrines, pretty predictable setup, I guess. Obviously, a bit of unit damage, increased shooting accuracy. Obviously, you've got to have the increased rate of fire. Although I haven't really been able to determine 100% if this has any impact on volley fire. You know, you'll find that volley fire is the key part of this ability for the unit, and I'm not sure if this rate of fire actually has any impact on that. Probably not. I then did go for the increased damage against shielded units. 350, you know, it's a nice little increase, but when you're shooting a unit for sort of 2,500, 350 isn't actually necessarily all that useful, and it's quite niche. I'm trying not generally to throw my lead straight into the front of a unit of stalwarts, because most of the time that isn't really very helpful. Beyond that, a little bit of extra help, because they sure need it, and as we talked about, the unit damage. A pretty predictable doctrine layout, particularly now we've got all the epic doctrines. Unit kit cost-wise, let's have a look at the cost of one. 2.7. Pretty reasonable for a heroic era unit. Certainly not going to be breaking the bank there. But anyway, let's hop into a battle with them now. I've still got the Janissary attire on them, have I? Yes. Not quite sure why, but I suppose it seems to suit them, kind of with the matchlock musket. But anyway, sidetrack. Let's get into a battle. Let's see how we've been getting on with them, and let's see what we can do with them in battle. So we kick things off on Riverlands. A little bit of a slow start as we push up this tower here. Not a ton of stuff defending under the gateway, but enough to really stop me getting up. And we don't really have a lot of melee here, which, admittedly, I'm not helping the situation by bringing range. But we are actually kind of keeping them pinned into this corner. And since there's some shots to be had, I decided to have a little bit of a pop with some of the musket in volley mode, and we actually claim a couple of the stalwarts, particularly when they're a little bit side-angled so they can't get the full block on their shield. That longsword takes a step out from behind the wall. The muskets in volley fire are going to be hitting heroes for thousands per hit, and that causes his unit to retreat. I get up, we can nicely turn around and just sort of shotgun into the back of all these units. Can't miss at this range, and the damage is obviously pretty nice. You can see how quickly we pick up kills even against a shield unit, a fairly heavily armoured unit. But with them dead, I'm thinking kind of, where do I want to go next? Thought I might be able to get a few cheeky hits on some of these condos down there. It just doesn't really happen for me. They don't really decide they want to aim down. They kind of have a little bit of a pop at that musket hero down there. They get some hits, but really the range is too far. The accuracy on these guys, it isn't something like a Krieg. The accuracy isn't that high. So instead, we decide to focus more on the B alley. And this unit is absolutely dream team for this sort of situation. Narrow alleyway, lots of enemies coming down a funnel, and look how quickly it gains kills, even against a unit which has got, massive range reduction. You can see we're only hitting for sort of 700, 800 because of the range damage reduction. Look how quickly we start to get kills, and then followed by a double hero kill, and then the damage keeps coming. Just ploughing those lead balls into the condo. And yeah, for this sort of situation, I feel like this unit is absolutely perfect for this. And it's just more and more units feeding into the Imperial muskets. Unfortunately, eventually started to run out of ammo, plus they build a Howatcher and a couple of archers at the back actually start to get a little bit of fire into me. And that's, I guess, one of the downsides of the unit, is it doesn't quite have the tankiness. Although it doesn't stop them grabbing that extra hero kill, as we then pull back, and I have to go back and grab a little bit more ammo and sort myself out at the supply point. But this is really what makes the unit. It's the damage. This is what makes them, at these sort of situations, better than a unit of tercios. Because there's nothing can compete for the amount of damage they can do in these sort of spot situations. And pretty true of this clip here as well, on Shield of the Capital, one of my least favourite maps in the game. But once they start pushing through this gateway, look how quickly these units kick up kills. Up to 20, up to 30. Another hero kill. Up to 40. They just pick up kills so insanely quickly. Close range, firing through a narrow gap. Just absolutely nothing can stop them, and nothing else can do what these guys do as a unit. The damage is ridiculous. For me, I tend to find I quite liking playing them fairly aggressive. That wasn't very good English, was it? But I like to keep them on the front line, basically. They're not super accurate. The 20% accuracy doctrine does certainly help. And if you get the unit tech tree upgrade as well, that certainly will help pushes you in the right direction. But realistically, they're not a unit for accuracy. And the damage is really nice, just point blank in your face. And that really tends to be how I tend to use them. A little bit later on in the same battle, I'm pushing up to the final base point. I just wanted to highlight, again, close range, just get them in. Yeah, you take a little bit of damage, you do lose some of them. But I think this is one of the biggest problems we see with range, is that it doesn't help the team push. If you can put your muskets up close, getting the kills, pushing the team forwards, or at least somewhat helping push the team forwards, then I think you're a lot more useful as kind of a team member. So I just wanted to emphasise the point of ranged aggression, because it's really, really kind of a helpful thing. Although I nearly got myself absolutely obliterated there. Just a brief foray back through the glaive in medium armour. Forgot how little health I have compared to being a very tanky poleaxe with a self-heal. And have a look, most of the units still in the game. We lose one to a hussar charge there briefly. But we actually are on the point, on the front line, and we're still racking up kills right until the very end. So for our third clip, we are on Regionopolis. A map that I'm very pleased to see that is actually back in rotation. But as some of our friendly paladins start to push up, I didn't feel like we could leave them going in alone, so we go up straight onto volley fire mode. We get these Sons of Fenrir. I'm glad those paladins were there to really stop the bulk of their jump, and a few of them manage to get through but don't actually manage to get onto the unit. And so we're just volley firing in, and we are actually hitting quite a bit into that enemy unit of Imperial shields. Yes, we are taking return fire from a bow, but it's currently worth the damage, and he gets trebbed, so I was okay with it in the end anyway. Pick up a hero kill, but that's kind of what I want to emphasise, is that I think it's worth taking losses to push a position. Okay, maybe I don't get so many kills with a unit of muskets in a game as maybe I could, or maybe as other people do, but I think it's not worth babysitting them completely the entire game and not doing anything to help the team. I think it's better sometimes to be a little bit aggressive with them, get them pushed up and get them in the fight. Having said that, that fight against those Pavis wasn't worth it, so I pulled back round. But, yeah, they do that quite nicely. They are quite fun for sort of one-shotting enemy heroes in those sort of situations. So we get on and we manage to capture the sea point. We start to push back through. Most of the enemies at this point are kind of on the back foot or on the retreat. So I'm just kind of pushing pretty hard here because I don't think there's anything that's really going to threaten me, too much at this point. We get around the corner. I just go for a quick volley fire into these remaining units here because, well, unshielded, they're always nice and easy kills in this sort of situation. And yeah, undoubtedly we cut through them pretty effectively. And then we push on, go and get myself healed up and resupplied at the supply point at this point. Then later on in the same fight, we push around the other way basically. And, well, this is what they're like at range. In my opinion, they struggle a little bit more here. But they are actually getting hits and we even grab a hero kill, so it's certainly not unuseful. I just think the accuracy at this sort of range does struggle a little bit more. Although I suppose once you're volley firing with double shot and things like that, the amount of rounds you're putting out, you're about to be getting some hits anyway. So currently they're still kind of at fairly long range. I'm just using them to throw some extra shots in, get a little bit of extra hero damage on some of the stuff that's coming in as well. But as more stuff starts to pressure on, and particularly as my volley fire starts to come off cooldown, I decide to drag the unit up. Let's get them back on the front line. And remember, this is a half strength unit now. Pretty much half the unit is dead. Set them into volley fire mode, and still, as per, brilliant as ever, ton of, damage, just completely eviscerate anything that's on point. And that really enables us basically to clear out the point. A little bit of stuff comes in, and you see we're volley firing, hitting these Fortebraccio for 3k a shot. Yeah, clear the point out, and that really enables us just to get the capture, and then it's game. But yeah, I like them in an aggressive formation, trying to put them close to the front lines, trying to get the maximum damage out of them. They are very much a DPS unit, almost the exact opposite of Tercios in that sense. But anyway, I've really enjoyed playing them. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching the video. If you have, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a lot more Conqueror's Blade content. Thanks for watching, guys. And I shall see you all on the next video.